Alright, this is John Cola with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and in this episode I'm going to show you guys one of my favorite fruits and actually how it can kill you, which is totally true. And how this video came about is because about last year I posted a picture of me eating persimmons on my Facebook page, and one of my friends or somebody commented, "Watch out, don't eat persimmons, they could kill you." And I'm like thinking to myself, what kind of crazy stuff is this guy writing me to kind of scare me out of persimmons? I've been eating persimmons now for the last 24 years at that point. Pretty much every persimmon season I'll just gorge myself on persimmons. I've picked my own persimmons off the tree ripening. I grow my own persimmon trees. I've eaten persimmons so long and I've never heard of anybody losing their life from eating persimmons. But, I want to always look into things. I don't just think, oh, I know everything, because I certainly don't know everything, and I'm always learning and growing. I want you to always learn and grow in your life and believe that your teacup, which is your mind, your brain, is always half full or half empty, if you're a, optimist or not, and that you could always learn more and you're never going to overflow with information because it's impossible to know everything. So anyways, I did a search. And I found an article that, in some rare place in China, somebody ate some persimmons that actually might have not have been properly ripened, and or the person had a pre-existing medical condition, very important, and they did lose their life. So yes, persimmons can kill people, but just because, in this rare instance, persimmons killed somebody, should I now stop eating persimmons because they are such an amazing food? Persimmons contain a wealth of different nutrients. They contain things that bread or cookies or candy or junk vegan diet cheese could never contain. They contain plant phytochemicals that can be good and bad, as well as things like beta carotene, healthy sugar, lots of fiber. These guys are so rich in fiber, vitamin C, polyphenols, antioxidants, which is actually quite healthy for. And actually, they did a recent study where they actually compared persimmons against apples, and persimmons were found to be healthier than even apples. Well, hey, an apple a day keeps a doctor away. Well, I would say a persimmon a day keeps a doctor away, but they could also kill you. But then again, if you think about it, if you eat too many apple seeds, it can also kill you. Normally people don't eat apple seeds, and yes, also, I do not encourage eating persimmon seeds because the persimmon seeds contain those compounds that can cause issues and can kill you, although also the skin can, but we will talk about that more in a minute. So I don't think that you should limit your foods if you have a properly operating digestive system and you're in good health without any pre-existing medical conditions because they are so healthy. So, I know a lot of people like to live in that fear-based society, fear-based mentality where they see the news, they see something bad happen, and then they're just never going to leave their house again because they're going to get the virus or whatever happens. Now, yes, I wear a mask. I believe that protects me, and you guys could have your own opinions on that. But, I try to not go out. I have not been traveling due to the COVID and everything, so to reduce my risk. But at the same time, I'm eating copious amounts of persimmons because I don't think that's going to be problematic for me based on my previous track record. Plus, I also eat them smartly. If you are not eating persimmons intelligently and have pre-existing conditions that I will share later in this video, yes, they can possibly cause some issues and possibly kill you, which has happened. Now, this video is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not making any medical claims or giving any medical advice. If you have some kind of pre-existing medical condition or are wondering if persimmons are safe for you to eat, please consult your doctor. That's what they are there for. I'm here to share my information with you and share with you guys what I've learned about this topic, because when I first read that guy's post that persimmons could kill you, I instantly thought preposterous, and then I researched more and I'm like, okay, that could be true, but I don't think it personally applies to me. Maybe it won't apply to you, but maybe it will. All right, so then I was like, okay, I'm going to forget about this. I'll just move on. People like to live their life in fear and never eat persimmons because it could kill you. Like, you probably have better chances of winning the lottery than dying from eating persimmons. If you're a normal, healthy individual with normal, healthy digestive system, which is a whole nother discussion topic, because I don't believe most people's digestive systems are properly operating due to the improper standard American diet that does not contain fiber, has excess processed sugar in there, excess fats, and not eating enough fiber, all these things. In addition, the other thing I strongly believe is that many other people have other pre-existing conditions such as ulcers or diabetes, and those people might want to be more cautious. I don't have any of those things, and I'll explain what I've discovered from my research. Once again, I'll put all the links down below this video to the scientific published journal studies that I read through to basically make this video so that you guys don't have to if you guys want to save time. But if you want to see everything that I read through, check the link down below. I spent several hours over several days doing this so I could make this video for you guys to dispel the myths about persimmons on how in most cases they're definitely going to be safe, but in some rare cases they may be problematic. So this is to let you guys know that this video could save your life if you watch it all the way through. So the next thing I want to say is that plants that are perfectly edible can always somehow find a way to harm you or kill you. Why is this? Are plants, kind of like that crazy psycho ex-girlfriend that you broke up with, or maybe you had a crazy ex-boyfriend? I've seen those two. That's just trying to get you because you have pissed them off. No, plants are not vindictive, as far as I'm aware. But what they do is that they make a host of phytochemicals, right? In many cases, I see these phytochemicals as good things. They are protective for us. They provide us nutrition. They give us antioxidant benefit. They are anti-inflammatory. They do so many things. They've been shown some of these phytochemicals could, help prevent and even, reverse cancer and kills cancer and all these crazy things, right? But at the same time, those phytochemicals would also be quite toxic and deadly. In my recent gardening video, I talked about how you can increase the phytochemical content in your plants by having good soil and maybe even stressing your plants out. But the phytochemicals are in the plants not for our benefit, it's for the plant's benefit. So, animals don't eat the plants so that the plant could deal with the 100-degree weather or the cold weather or the too much stress of not being watered, abiotic stress, or whatever stressors it encounters to prevent aphids and bugs and diseases, molds and funguses to get on the plant. That's why the plant have these antioxidant components, and things like animal foods don't have very little, if any, of these antioxidants. Also it's been shown in science that these antioxidant properties or phytochemicals, which I call phytonutrients when they're good for us, can be beneficial for us. They can, give you a deeper color skin pigment, which actually in scientific studies also have shown that you become more attractive. Maybe some people call it the raw glow. It's just because I eat copious amounts of fruits and vegetables, beta-carotene rich fruits, including the persimmons, as well as drink carrot juice, like pretty much on a daily basis, as well as eat a variety and whole host of other fruits and vegetables for their phytocompounds. Now, of course, some of these phytochemicals can also be quite toxic. Look at oleander, right? Don't eat oleander. That could be toxic. That could actually kill you. I saw like some 2020 report where, the lady tried to concentrate oleander and give it to her husband or vice versa and kill him so that they could get the, stupid insurance money or something like that. But at the same time, some plants like poison oak or poison ivy, you roll in that stuff, you'll be itching all over because those are chemicals. The plant doesn't want you touching it or eating it so that the plant can continue to live, survive, and thrive. And that's why these compounds are in plants for the plant's benefit, right? And, but in many cases, we can help benefit plants. So, most fruits have seeds unless they've been, bred out of them. These fruits tend to not have a lot of seeds. I've maybe come across maybe a handful of seeds after eating like a whole flat's worth. And the seeds are what actually the fruits want us to disperse. They want us to eat the fruit, whether we spit the seeds out somewhere else where the tree wasn't, or whether it comes out in your poop, which is basically seed pre-made fertilizer in a seed package with the seed so that they could grow a new tree, right? Plants want to reproduce, and that's their main goal in life, plus just be able to live a healthy life without getting eaten. So these phytochemicals can be good or bad things, and this depends on you, how you digest them, and your digestive system. So in this instance, actually, with the persimmons, okay? So what happens with persimmons is, there are compounds or tannins, which I'll talk a bit more in detail about in a little bit, that when combined with stomach acid and potentially a medical predisposition or not, can cause an intestinal blockage. When you get an intestinal blockage, you could have various symptoms, such as, distending. So you could, like, your stomach could be totally, like, become really large, like you have a lot of gas. You could have pain in there. Maybe if it's really bad, you could start vomiting. You could feel nauseated. And, basically you get an intestinal blockage, and that intestinal blockage is causing things not to work in your digestive system, which basically you could lose your life from. And these blockages caused by the persimmons, which we'll talk more about in a minute, usually has to get removed, like, through surgery in most cases, but other cases, other things could maybe help it along as well, which I'll also be discussing. That being said, if you do not know about persimmon, you just try to pick one up and eat one randomly and it's not ripe, this can be essentially very problematic. So what the persimmon can do is create what's called a bezoar, or an intestinal blockage that actually is non-digestible. And sometimes it can be really bad, and sometimes it's not so bad. But this bezoar could be really problematic for some people. And these don't always form in everybody that ever eats persimmons, because there are plenty of people that eat persimmons that are fine, but some people unfortunately have some significant issues when eating persimmons. So that's what I'm going to discuss today, how these bezoars are formed, why they're formed, how to avoid that, and should that happen to you, what can you do to fix it so that you don't lose your life. So there are many kind of bezoars, and persimmon bezoars are just one type, but bezoars have many different kinds, and I'm not sure all the different names, but basically people that swallow hair, could get a bezoar, and that could cause a blockage and problem. People that take drugs, certain drugs could also cause this indigestible material in your usually stomach or small intestine that could cause a blockage. In addition, things like lactose or milk bezoars could also occur, causing a blockage. And then there's also phytobezoars, which are actually caused by plants. Phyto is plant, whether it's persimmons or other things, probably like pine bark also could happen to you with, or even grape seeds potentially could cause this to occur due to their tannin content. But then actually with persimmons, they actually have a special name for it. It's called diospyrobezoar, because diospyros khaki is like the Latin name for the persimmon tree or the plant or whatever. And so that's that. And so that's what they're called. They're caused by intestinal blockages caused by tannins specifically. So it's these condensed tannins that are actually contained within the skin, or also the seed, and definitely the skin of unripe persimmons. If you eat a persimmon and it just makes your mouth feel fuzzy and it's astringent and it sucks all the saliva out of your mouth, that is a sign of tannins. That means the persimmon is not yet ready to eat it. So don't think, I paid $5 for this persimmon because I can't even find them near me and they're super rare, and I ate it, my mouth is all puckery now, and I'm just going to eat it because I paid $5 for it. Well, that might not be a good idea, because that's high tannin content. Now, tannins, on the other hand, could be quite beneficial. There are benefits to eating tannins, and actually in Japan, check this out, man, the same tannins that could cause you to lose your life, right? When they juice the persimmons and concentrate the tannins, right, it is shown to kill the COVID virus in test tubes or petri dishes, right? So they're experimenting further with that. So this is the power of tannins. Tannins have the power to heal and be antioxidant compounds like proanthocyanidins in pine bark and grape seeds, but also be quite toxic to us or cause some harm. So the condensed tannins, or luso-anthocyanins, also called shibal, I think some Japanese name for some kind of tannins, that actually cause this specific situation to occur. So these condensed tannins form with some acid in our stomach and make basically a polymer or a glue-like substance. So yeah, you think polymer, you think plastic. Yeah, it's basically forming like a plastic ball or mass in our intestines if your digestive system is not working correctly. As far as I'm aware, I've never produced any of those. I've never had any pain or anything from eating persimmons, anything like that. So, I think I'm going to be fine, and I'll definitely risk my life for the pleasure of eating these persimmons. That being said, I want you guys to be careful. Once again, consult your doctor. There are people that may be more likely to have problems with eating persimmons if you have certain predispositions. Now also these tannins, you know, in an unripe persimmon, so let's see if I can find an unripe one here. So yeah, this one's kind of more unripe. If you guys can see the color on that, it's kind of like more yellow than orange. This is more unripe, it's more hard and firm. And you know, certain persimmons such as this kind, which is known as a high chia style, which is kind of more acorn, is a high astringent variety, right? These kinds, and even I've seen some that are not acorn, they're a little bit more flattened, maybe like, I don't think I have it here, but some other varieties could also be astringent. So you want to check when you purchase persimmons, if you want to avoid this situation, is get non-astringent persimmons. This is an astringent persimmon. Non-astringent persimmons are like this style. This is a flat persimmon known as fuyu persimmon, and these persimmons have literally 20% of the tannins that this one does. So 20% of the tannins this one does. So it's significantly less tannins than this guy. So it's you know, less possible for this to occur when you're eating this kind fruit, but it is still possible, and I'll share with you guys more on how to avoid that in a little bit. But anyways, when these fruits are looking like this, kind of like more like this yellowish, not as ripe, and then let me go ahead and pick a ripe one. I mean, these guys, oh, and this is also firm, so it's like firm like an unripe avocado, because I know some people don't really even know about persimmons. And then look at this guy, same variety persimmon, and look at that, that almost looks like as red as a tomato. I mean, not quite that red, but it's pretty doggone red, and if I punch this, look at that, that skin gives gently. I mean, basically I could squeeze this, and look, I could punch that down. I mean, it's basically an acorn now. I could basically push that down because it's basically just like pudding or jello in here. And that's the other thing too. Although this kind can be more dangerous to eat due to their tannin content, they're also a lot sweeter than usually the fuyu variety. Now, in all cases, fuyu or persimmons, after they've been left on the tree and you had a weather condition like a freeze, they always get sweeter from my experience. So here's another variety that's kind of like a halfway. It's kind of not super flat and it's not astringent. So this one may be an astringent variety or it may be a non-astringent variety. So if you want to avoid the bezoars, right, avoid the astringent varieties because those are much more likely that you're going to have, they're going to be problematic. But oh, the other thing is, if you wait until they're this ripe, guess what? Those condensed tannins convert, right? So then you can eat this, it'll no longer be astringent and actually be sweet. There'll still be some tannin content in there, but those tannins will convert through probably some kind of enzymatic process into different plant phytochemicals, or maybe different kinds of nutrients that are good for us that are basically, it's detoxified, so it's like healthy to eat now. It's kind of like there's a fruit called the ackee fruit. It's, I think that's the national fruit of Jamaica, that if you eat it unripe, it'll kill you. It's poisonous. I think it's due to cyanide content. But if they open and they're ripe, they're perfectly safe to eat. So persimmons are not quite as extreme as the ackee, but you know, they may be problematic for some people, especially if you have some predispositions, as I'm going to show you guys in a minute. So in one of the studies that I reviewed, approximately 85% of the people in the study had a predisposition, and they were more likely to get this blockage in their intestines that could end up in death. So if you have one of these, and this is not an exhaustive list, be sure to check the links for the studies down below, but you're going to get the point of what I'm getting to when I share some of the conditions that appeared in these studies, such as people who had ulcers, and ulcers as a disease or a surgery for an ulcer in the past, people that don't have good stomach acid, people that have had gastric surgery or some other kind of surgery in your intestines, in your digestive system, you know, people that have Crohn's disease, if you're dehydrated, if you have hypothyroidism, if you have impaired gastric mobility. So these are some predispositions. If you have some of these or ones that are similar to these, you know, you might want to be more cautious, or I would be more cautious in eating the astringent kind of persimmons. You know, and if you have more than 2 of those conditions that I listed, you know, your chances of having this occur is even higher. So should an intestinal blockage from persimmons or other foods happen, these are some of the common symptoms, and this is not anywhere near an exhaustive list because I'm not a medical practitioner by any means, but you could maybe get some stomach pain. But just because you get stomach pain doesn't mean you don't have to be a hypochondriac and think, I'm getting stomach pain, I'm already, there's other things. But once again, you should rather be safe than sorry. If pain doesn't go away or last longer than X amount of time, whatever you determine that is, then it might be problematic. So yeah, pain in the stomach, stomach distension, or when it's like you're bloated, right? If you lose your appetite, that could also be a sign. If you're vomiting, that's probably an advanced sign that like your body's saying something's wrong. I'm trying to get the food. He keeps eating food, but it's blocked, so it can't go any further. Also, you may feel a loss of appetite, like, man, I just don't feel like eating. What's wrong with me? And then in those cases, and you've eaten especially a good volume of persimmons, you might want to go to see a qualified medical practitioner. So if you do see a doctor, and I can't tell you what treatment they're going to give you, but some of the things that I've seen in the studies that I've read is that they got to go in there with surgery literally to physically remove the blockage, which that would suck, whether they do an endoscopy thing up the butt and get in there, or however they do it, or I don't really know, they do laser, or like get these force nip clipper things, or cut you open. I don't exactly know how they're going to do that, but that doesn't sound like fun to me. Now, the other interesting thing that I came across is that what people are doing in some countries, and I found this interesting, but hey, I might have to have an extra 6-pack laying around just for this situation, but they found that Coca-Cola, I knew you could drop dirty pennies in Coca-Cola and you take the pennies out and they're totally shiny, because the Coca-Cola basically, the phosphoric acid and other chemicals in there basically clean off all the tarnishing and rust or whatever off the copper. But also they found that Coca-Cola in some, but not all instances, can help to dissolve the bezoar should you get one, or that intestinal blockage, which is quite interesting. I've read also in some other studies they talked about taking some cellulase enzymes, maybe some pancreatic enzymes, as well, maybe even some citric acid or other enzymes that may help dissolve it, although that didn't always work. I think it said that the Coke even worked better, so you might want to drink some Coke and take enzymes to do a home remedy, but once again, see a qualified medical practitioner for proper care should you have any kind of medical condition. So now I want to get into this video that will probably be most important for all you guys, which is how do you avoid this situation from occurring in the first place? So like for me, if I had a medical predisposition to this, like I had diabetes and I also had an ulcer, I would probably, really be concerned about eating especially the astringent variety of persimmons. I'd probably, more likely eat the flat kind, the non-astringent variety, because I would not want to give out and miss out on their benefits personally, but I'd also do it safely, and I wouldn't just gorge a ton of them, right? People with diabetes could potentially have other conditions that come along with diabetes and all these other things, and if you have any kind of digestive issues, like your digestion doesn't move, quickly, and it's sluggish, or you don't produce enough stomach acid, then I also might be concerned. So these are the tips that I would do if I was, just going to be smart about eating persimmons, so I don't have to live in fear and that persimmons can kill you and I'm never going to eat them again, right? So number one, as I said, buy the flat ones. They have 20% less tannins, than the high chia kind, the non-astringent kind. So that right there is going to reduce your risk. Number two, I would say, let's ask ourselves, where does those tannins occur in the persimmon? Well, there's two places. Number one is the seeds. So I would recommend never, ever, under any circumstances, eat persimmon seeds. Those have the tannins, and the seeds are already nice little, hunks of something that can get stuck in your stomach or anywhere in your digestive system, especially if it combines with acid and then makes a bigger ball and grows larger. So yeah, never eat the persimmon seeds, my top suggestion to you guys. Now, the other thing I would say is, number one, if you do have persimmons, let them ripen up, right? The longer they ripen, the longer there's more enzymatic activity, some of those those tannins, I believe, will get broken down and become, quote unquote, safer. That being said, if you have a disposition, it still may be problematic for you guys. So even going above and beyond that, what can you do? Well, you could peel the persimmons, right? Peel off the skin. In Japan, when they're drying these guys, I think it's called hoshiwa persimmons, they basically peel the skin off and they hang these guys in their houses like strings of persimmons, and they'll just dry them through natural air convection, and they'll even massage them, which is impressive. And those guys are like candy. They're like dried persimmon candy. But they peel them now. They probably peel them, number one, so that the air could get in there, because if the persimmon has a peel on it, it's a pretty impervious fruit against like degradation or going bad, and that's why I'm able to buy a bunch of persimmons now and store them probably at least until January proper in my fridge at a cold temperature. So for optimal, to keep them fresher longer, store them right around 34, 33, 35 degrees. They're going to store longer, not get soft. I mean, I bought a bunch of these, and I like, oh, these guys are super hard. I left them out one day, like 2 trays of these guys. And by the next day, like half of them were soft. I'm like, oh my God, I'm totally screwed. They're going to ripen faster than I can eat them. And it's only me. So then I'm like, okay, I immediately put the other half in the fridge to ripen more slowly. And I have different fridges at different temperatures. So I put like the super long storage ones, and then I have the ones for the more easier consuming. But yeah, so anyways, peel your persimmons to remove the skin. Because then that's where all the tannins are, and also the skins have more indigestible fiber in it, like tomatoes. Tomatoes have indigestible skin, and if you eat tomatoes, don't chew them well especially, you'll see skin coming out the other end, literally, when they come out. And I've also noticed that with persimmons. So what I do usually is I usually take one of these ripe persimmons here, one of these guys, and I can just carefully peel off the outside layer of the skin, because there's an outside layer and an inside layer of the skin. I love the inside layer, and I think it's the outside layer of the skin that's basically like the waterproof layer, so that the fruit protects itself with a layer. I think it's that layer personally that contains the majority of the tannins and also some indigestible fiber that may be indigestible for us, but also, more importantly, it may also feed our beneficial microbiome, and our microbiome can also break down the fiber. I mean, that is the purpose of our microbiome, to break down the soluble fiber. Now, microbiome can't break down insoluble fiber, but insoluble fiber acts as a nice broom to help push everything through and keep it clean. So I'm actually not going to personally reduce my persimmon consumption due to the fact that it might kill me. I'm just going to be smart about it. So aside from peeling, once again, make sure if you guys are eating the astringent kind, they are as ripe as possible. Even though this variety of astringent kind, Hachiya, supposedly on the box said you could eat these hard or firm, I ate like 4 of them the first day. When they're firm, I got a mouthful of pucker. They're still quite astringent, right? So now I'm just totally letting them, oh man, look, I put this one down and it just cracked open and now it's dripping. Look at that. That's like goo. I'm not even supposed to, oh my God, I'm not even supposed to eat this early. I don't eat fruit till later in the day. But this stuff, man, you gotta look at that. I'm just gonna squeeze it out for you guys. It's like persimmon goo. I might have to eat that one after the video. But yeah, these guys are super delicate. I mean, it's literally like eating pudding, like fruit pudding, like super sweet. These guys exceed 20 bricks, for those of you guys that know what that is, and that's extremely sweet. Now, the next tip that was given in some of the research articles that I said is do not overconsume persimmons. And so that means, what is overconsume persimmons? I guess that depends on how many persimmons you're used to eating or how much fruit you normally eat, and I will leave that up to you. But the thing is, in one of the studies I reviewed, literally a lady ate just 1 persimmon a day for 30 days, and she still had this situation occur. So maybe 1 a day for 30 days for her was overconsumption. For me, I mean, I'll eat like 5 or 6 of these in one day, in one meal, and then usually the next day I try to skip a day unless I have too many ripe ones. Then I got to eat them because I always try to rotate and eat different fruits to give my body a chance to move it through my system. And in general, I'll let you guys know that my digestive system, I move things out easily within 24 hours. So if I eat something today, I can literally see it in the toilet bowl tomorrow. So if I go every other day, by the time I ate these, those are out of my system, and then I get another round instead of just eating these until I'm just doing mono meals on Persimmon Island. I'm eating nothing but persimmons. I don't know, that would be a little bit more, potentially be more problematic. Once again, if you have the pre-existing conditions, you definitely want to be more safe than sorry. I'm in normal health. I have a good, proper microbiome. I take probiotics. I eat plenty of prebiotic foods. And My digestive system is not sluggish by any means. I rarely get any kind of stomach disorders, and I eat all kinds of crazy foods. So I'm building up a tolerance, in my digestive system by eating a wide variety of foods. Every different food you eat will play an impact positively or negatively on your microbiome. For example, if you eat pomegranates, you're going to get a beneficial microbe called Akkermansia in your gut, and then you'll maybe be more likely, Akkermansia has been associated with people that are not overweight, right? But if you never eat pomegranates, you're not going to have the phytochemical or the fiber in the pomegranates that feed your Akkermansia, and you're not going to have those guys. So I've really worked hard to create a robust digestive system, and more importantly, a robust microbiome in my personal gut. So another way that I've determined to be safer with eating persimmons, besides the ones I've previously mentioned, is to make sure you chew them properly, right? If you eat the skins, like sometimes I eat the skins on these mushy ones, I make sure I chew it into a mush so that all the skin fragments are not large chunks, right? Large chunks, there's no teeth in our digestive system, and if you don't chew things into a mush with our teeth, then there's larger particulate going through your digestive system that may be more likely to form a ball or collect a mass and all these things. But smaller particles, they'd have to work, your digestive system would have to work a lot harder to basically form some kind of ball or something. In my personal opinion, just makes sense to me. Of course, consult a doctor for exactly what happens. I try to chew everything properly, and I just chew well anyways. It'll take me an hour long to eat a salad at night because I want to chew everything down. Why do we give babies baby food, right? They don't have any teeth. Babies don't chew anyways, or actually my dog doesn't chew, although despite having teeth. But he also has better stomach acid in his stomach, which is probably another good thing. Once again, if you have a proper digestive system with high stomach acid, it's likely that some of these, tannins may be broken down by the acid. If you don't have enough, that's when problems can occur. But I'm just a neophyte layman, and I'm not really sure how all that stuff works specifically. Now, if you can't chew well, like you don't have teeth, like in one of the studies I read, somebody that didn't have teeth was eating persimmons, and that's how they got this issue, overeating and no teeth, then blend them up, man. And actually, I don't recommend standard traditional blending because you can volatilize a lot of the antioxidants as proven by science. I only recommend vacuum blending. You'll have to check my other videos for that. And if I remember, I'll post a link down below. Now, the final way that I would recommend to be safer when eating persimmons is to not combine them. I know some of you guys are familiar with food combining, how you're only supposed to eat this food with this food and not this food with this food and all these things. But, there's, in some of the science that I've seen, some of the data, it suggests that if you eat things with a high tannin content along with things with a high protein content, which actually I rarely do anyways, because usually it's just mono meals of persimmons for me, that can be problematic. So, for example, one lady, I think, who lost her life ate persimmons with crab meat, right? That does not sound good to me personally, but, she didn't make it. So I would not eat persimmons with meat. I would not eat persimmons with ham. And my name is not Sam I Am either. And I would not eat persimmons with yogurt. Also another high protein food. I would not eat persimmons with milk, which also, milk products can also cause some of these internal blockages as well. So you're giving yourself a double whammy by eating these foods together. I think that's pretty much it for this episode. I think the summary of my episode is that I will still eat persimmons, and if you're one of those people that are, concerned about losing your life from persimmons, you could choose to live your life however you want. You could live in fear. I know there's a lot of fake news out there. I thought this was an important topic for me to cover because, yes, people have lost their lives from eating persimmons due to intestinal blockages caused by some of the tannins, especially if they have some predispositions. But I personally believe a normal, healthy person, that shouldn't happen to. But once again, consult a doctor, to ask them if you could eat persimmons. They might think you're crazy, or if they're a smart one, they're going to turn to the web and turn to some research journal published studies and look up some of the things that I did, which once again are down below if you want to review them yourself. I believe persimmons to be perfectly safe when properly ripened and not overeaten, and you don't eat the seeds. I will still continue to eat some of the skin and chew it well. I've personally never had an issue to date, and I have hundreds of friends that have eaten lots of persimmons without hearing any ill effects. Although, I would be much more cautious if I did have a colostomy bag, or if I did have lap band surgery, or if I did have ulcers, or if I did have some kind of surgery to my intestines. Then I I might want to even not eat persimmons, but that's a choice only you can make. I hope to remain healthy and keep all my organs properly functioning, and I do that simply by eating the amazing fruits and vegetables that God, nature, or whomever you believe in put on this earth for us to enjoy. So that's pretty much it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, please be sure to share this video with somebody else when they say, watch out for persimmon bezoars, they can kill you, so that they can learn some of the research in easy to digest verbal format instead of reading through some more complex scientific published studies that I went through several days to make this video for you guys, so that I could confidently know that I'm eating persimmons safely, and I will continue to do so because simply they are one of my favorite foods in the world. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new upcoming episodes that come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 500 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to teach you guys about eating fruits and vegetables for their health benefits. I'll also post a link down below to a video I made, the most delicious part of the persimmon that nobody ever told you about, which is the part right under the outside skin, which tastes like sugar crystals to me. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.